How about I go Big Red?
Hello, everybody. Jon Johnston, CornNation, back from vacation in northern Minnesota where I tried to catch fish. I caught some, but it's fishing in Minnesota in August. If you want to go fishing in Minnesota, go in June. It's a lot easier. But I had fun. I had a break, and now it's time to get ready for the college football season. It's imminent. And I was going to do a prediction video because those do really well. But I realized that I want to talk a lot about Minnesota because Minnesota is a huge game. It's the biggest game, the hugest game of 2023, and it's coming up first. Colorado. I know we hate Colorado. It would be very embarrassing to lose to Colorado. I know a lot of you probably think that's a bigger game than Minnesota, but it's not. And I get it. You know, we hate them. They have mountains. They threw piss balloons at us. They're a bunch of weed smoking hippies in Boulder, completely the antithesis of what Nebraska is. I get it, but it's number one. I don't think there's any chance that Colorado beats us because I think Colorado is just a mess and going to be a mess for a while. And then there's Iowa, and I hate Iowa. You know, if you watch this channel, that I hate Iowa, and that's a huge game. But it's way down at the end of the season. You know, that's a game we don't want to lose. Same with Wisconsin. But again, I go back to that Minnesota game sets the tone for the season, and that's really probably the number one reason why Minnesota, the Gophers, are the biggest game of the season. Realistically, I'd give Nebraska about a 30% chance of winning this game. I realize there's probably, ESPN's FPI has us, I think, around 30%. But statistical analysis aside, I don't really care what those things think. What I know is this. Minnesota is on a 4-game winning streak against Nebraska. They've won 7 out of the last 10. 2019 was an ass kicking. I think it was 34-7, a game in which we really didn't even show up. 2020, remember that? The COVID year, they came to Lincoln shorthanded, down like 30 players, including a bunch of starters on their lines, beat us anyway. Minnesota is easily the most important game of the season, not just because it's first, but because Minnesota is a Big Ten West Conference opponent. And if we want to entertain anything about winning the Big Ten West, then we have to start there. The other reason is because Minnesota has kicked our ass for the last few years. And you can look at the one-score games and say, well, it hasn't been that bad, but you'd be lying to yourself because they have physically dominated Nebraska. And when you think of Nebraska football, I don't think physical domination by the other team is what you want to think about. They have pummeled us. They have, well, put it this way. I mean, PJ Fleck's modus operandi is basically getting a lead and then running the ball at teams and extending possessions and keeping the ball away from their offense, the other team's offense. And they've done that very well. Now, if Nebraska can somehow go into this game and I play close or win, it sets the tone for the rest of the season because we know what Minnesota is going to do. They're going to run the ball at us. They're going to run the same damn inside-outside zones plays probably 50 times this game. Again, like I said, they're going to extend possessions, and they're going to try to keep Nebraska's offense off the field and pick up some turnovers. There are a lot of Nebraska fans, and I know this because, I do surveys. I pay attention to social media. I read the comments when you shouldn't. And I know that there's a lot of Nebraska fans that are going to be watching this game to get an idea of what this team is going to look like because they're going to determine if they're going to waste their time this fall watching Nebraska football. And let's be honest, the past few years, it has been kind of a waste of time. I know that there's hardcore fans that are like, I'm always going to watch Nebraska football no matter what. I am. You're watching this, you probably are. But there's a lot of people that are like, that's 3 hours wasted on a Saturday. Why would I do that? Now, if Nebraska plays well, they're going to be brought back into the fold. I would like to have them back in the fold because, that's more hits and, they might buy more T-shirts. And I like that. It's hard to be a good attention whore if nobody's paying attention. So I like the attention, fully admit that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this. The other thing is it would demoralize, if we were to beat Minnesota, it would demoralize Minnesota, and I live here. And I would love to see Minnesota Gopher fans demoralized because I'm tired of hearing shit about Nebraska. They don't give me tons of it, but it would be really nice. So let's take a look at Minnesota, the game, the team. A lot of Minnesota fans I talk to think that this is the best team that PJ Fleck has had. And PJ Fleck has been around, 7 years now? And I know that a lot of you think, well, their quarterback is gone. Tanner Morgan's gone after 18 years as their starting quarterback, replaced by Ethan Kaliakmanis, who came in last year after Tanner Morgan got hurt and won the game for Minnesota. He's a very good quarterback. I wouldn't overlook him. I think he's a little bit more mobile than Tanner Morgan. I think he throws a much nicer pass, much better decision-making, and we're going to see what he can do this year. Mo Ibrahim is gone. Minnesota used Mo to pick up 3-4 yards when they needed 3-4 yards. He was incredible at extending their possessions and staying on the field, keeping the offense for Minnesota on the field. Sean Taylor is a Western Michigan transfer, and he provides Minnesota with something they didn't really have before, and that is a home run threat. Mo really wasn't the guy to get on the field and score touchdowns. Sean Taylor will be that guy. Their receivers, they're decent. Minnesota fans are really high on the receiving core. I'm not. I want to be convinced first. They do have one of the best tight ends in the Big Ten in Brevin Spanford. Their offense should be good. And their offensive line, 2 starters back. But does it matter? I mean, they develop offensive linemen. This is what they do. They do it very well. Defense, led by Tyler Nubin, one of the defensive secondary, excellent player, ball hawk, guy that's going to pick up turnovers. Their defensive line should be very good. Their linebackers still need to prove themselves. If I had to choose one word that this game is going to be about, that word is execution. And why is that? It's because Nebraska is coming into this game under first-year coach Matt Rule, and they're learning the offense. And they're going up against a Minnesota offense that's pretty much done the same thing under PJ Fleck from year to year to year. Now let's look at Minnesota's scoring offense. In 2022, they were 66th with 28.2 points per game. 2021, they were 83rd. 2020, 71st. And in 2019, they were pretty good at 21st nationally with 34.1 points per game. So what we're looking at is, let's say that range 28 to 31 points. First team to 30 is probably going to win this game. You're going to look at a Minnesota team, again, that I say extending possessions because that's key. And Nebraska's going to have to stop that. They're going to have to keep Minnesota's offense. When we get into like 3rd and 4, 3rd and 7, we're going to need to stop them if we expect to win this game. And that is going to require that our brand new 3-3-5 defense from Tony White, that the guys on that defense execute very well, because I don't think Minnesota is going to do exactly the same things they did under Tanner Morgan. Ethan K provides them with, I think, a much more versatility on offense. So the defensive secondary for Nebraska is going to have to know their assignments as well as the defensive line. It's going to be key that the defense going into their first game executes very well and doesn't make mistakes, because those mistakes will give up touchdowns. I think you're going to look at a Minnesota offense that have a lot more explosive plays this year than they've had in years past. Now, the Nebraska offense, they're still learning. And we really, we can get an idea of what they're going to do. But they're still learning, and this will be their first real test on the field against an opponent. We all know this. Again, are they going to execute the plays they have, the ones they want to run? I'm guessing we're going to see a pared down playbook from Matt Rule. And if they're going to run specific plays, I think the complaint under the previous guy that we fired was they didn't really have any bread and butter plays that they ran to succession all the time. Hopefully that changes under Matt Rule, and they have plays that they run that they execute very well that gain yardage. Nebraska defense, like I said, execute their assignments. Nebraska's offense, again, execute what you know. No missed blocks because you were out of position. Execution is key. So if Nebraska is going to win this game, how are they going to do it? Well, the obvious, that we've seen for years. No drive killing penalties. Get rid of the false starts. That's just stupid. It's a lack of concentration, a lack of focus that does that stuff. They need to get rid of the turnovers. We know these things, they're pretty easy. I think Nebraska on offense is going to win this game by running the damn ball. I mean, you got Irvin looks like he's going to be the starter. Johnson, Ramir Johnson, and Anthony Grant. I think those three backs are one of the best group of backs in the Big Ten. I think we're going to see that as the season goes on. I think between them, they have a very versatile skill set. Of the three, I like Ramir Johnson the most. Matt Rule recently stated he'll be a third down and passing situation type of guy, and I think he can be just explosive. You know, imagine wheel routes forever with Ramir Johnson scoring touchdowns, and that'll be key. Nebraska win. What do we get? How are we going to win? I think we run the ball and we do to Minnesota what they've been doing to us. We extend possessions. We pick up first downs. We get to 30 points before they do, and we have more possessions in the game. I don't expect Matt Rule's offense, well, Marcus Satterfield's offense, to score 40 points a game. I don't think that's what Nebraska is going to be about under this regime. I think they're going to be about ball control, making sure they take care of the ball and eliminate mistakes, and have a defense that's capable at keeping other teams under 30 points a game. So Minnesota, first game, most important game of the year, sets the tone for the year. We're going to find out if Nebraska's defensive line can stand up to a rushing attack that's very good. We're going to find out if Nebraska's offensive line can actually block people, because they haven't for a while. Not consistently. And remember, two things about the offensive line I want you to watch for at Minnesota. Can they pull? Are we going to see trap plays? Are we going to see counter plays with the opposite side guard or tackle pulling? Those things are key. The other one is, can our offensive line actually keep their pass protection together when the other team's running stunts and twists? Because previously their brains exploded and they couldn't block anybody at all. That's what I think about Minnesota. I would love to hear your thoughts. Please support us at CornNation by subscribing to our channel, telling your friends about us if you have them. Please like this video so that the YouTube algorithm likes us more. You might consider picking up a t-shirt or a hoodie at cobbycorn.com, or getting a channel subscription membership. It gives you little emojis you can use. Listen, I don't know what to do with that thing, but it's really cheap. Thank you. More to come. I'll do a predictions video very soon. Go Big Red.